Hi everyone, good evening and welcome. I'm Sandeep, a culture and consciousness expert. I service businesses and leaders who are looking for the. Today with me is Meera Chawla. Meera is a veteran of the financial industry. She is an award winning financial product services and operations leader. She is a woman of many hats. So before we, jump into the topic of the day, financial products servicing, the better way, Meera, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell our listeners what have you been doing, what are you doing, and where can they reach you?
All right. Thank you, Sandeep, for this opportunity. And I have been looking forward to having this session. Last time we could not have it, but this time, fingers crossed, everything should go very well. Uh, to start with, I think I've had 24 plus years of a corporate career. Having worked 23 years in the same firm as a service delivery person. I have taken care of the north and subsequently the west regions for the mutual fund, one of the largest mutual fund AMCs. After that, I came to a point where I felt that I needed to do something more. I needed to do something different. And that's when I went to a coach and I went through my sessions and everything. And that's when I realized that there was something which was more, I had an inner calling to do something different. And I am now on a journey through Parhita, where we talk about the welfares of others. The word Parhita stands for welfare of others, and that's what I am trying to do through my coaching sessions and coaching hours that I'm putting in. Every conversation that I have is trying to build something for people. I am now at a stage where I'm trying to give back because I have received so much from so many people in the last 24 years. And I'm, of course, a mid-career crisis coach. And having gone through one at a very recent stage, I think I realize what I'm getting into, and I'm hoping that I'm able to change a few lives through my coaching and through my workshops and sessions and all, where I can support people to look at things in a different perspective.
Oh, that's brilliant, Meera. Parihata, right? Which you said
Yes,
means helping other people. and
yes,
this
par
is
and hit.
exactly And this is exactly, what we are going to do today. Help people to understand what they should look for while they're investing in the financial products. Mira, when we started our careers way back in the 80s and the 90s, the financial product market was very limited. There was no internet. Information was very scanty, but still, it involved hope, it involved aspiration, it involved the future.
Yes.
And even today, despite the market growing leaps and bounds, despite very complex products coming into play, despite everyone rushing to sell their products, uh, the hopes, the aspirations, and the future still remain intact. Now, what has happened in the market is that the customers, they have become more demanding, they are more aware, they are more informed. And since you have been in the industry and probably you have witnessed this entire change, how has the financial product servicing segment of the financial products industry adjusted to this change and managed this change?
So I think I came into the where I remember my boss telling me once that you're not only a senior within the firm, you are also a veteran in the mutual fund industry. So I actually come from that space. And when we started out, of course, everything was a lot of it was manual, and just doing the high value banking was a big event for us at one point of time. Then we saw the ECS getting introduced, then we saw RTGS, IMPS, and all. Just to give you a very small example, getting that check was such a big deal to get it before 10 o'clock into the bank, so that the NAV we could be allotted to the customer. And now it was just within a click of the buttons, you can transfer the funds. So that's the journey that I've seen over the years. That's on the technology side. Customers definitely have a lot more information available to them, which they did not have when we started it out. So I think two of the major thing is the information, the technology has really grown leaps and bounds.
Amira, that is true, but this must have been a big philosophical change for the industry, right?
Yes,
Earlier, they went with one sheet, told the customer, okay, you will get 5%, 10%, 8%, and the customer signed. Now the customer has got 20 questions because of the information and technology.
yes,
And I'm asking this question for the simple reason, you see, like every day, I get minimum 10 calls. Being a chartered accountant, they'll say, sir, would you like to have a loan? Would you like to invest over there? We got special schemes for you, mutual funds, etc., etc. Right from credit cards, mortgages, FDs, everything. And
absolutely.
coming from the financial industry, right? Myself being a chartered accountant, when I call them and say, okay, tell me, they, immediately launch into a marketing presentation. And I say, look,
Yes,
statistics can make a big fool of anyone. Put the statistics aside. Just answer these three, four fundamental questions. And that is the time, you find these agents, जिसको कहते हैं ना हिंदी में बगले झांकने लगते हैं. They feel very uncomfortable. They pick up the phone, they'll ring their bosses. Oh, this question is there. What should I answer? Which gives us a sense that either the organization is concealing something or the person who has come is not qualified and equipped, or the organization is not giving importance to the customers. What are
yes.
your thoughts?
So I think while a lot of the technology and everything has changed, but some of the core values don't change, Sandeep. They were there even then, and they will continue to be there even in future. The transparency, the trust. You cannot take away that from the customer, because even then, when I started out in late 90s, even then the customer was coming, and I always used to tell this to my team that I used to manage then, that you're becoming a part of a huge dream of a customer, and you are kind of a dream merchant. We call the Bollywood stars as the dream merchants, but I think the people who were interacting with the customer, are the dream merchants actually, because the customer is actually putting a whole lot of trust, which he was doing in 2000s, which he's doing in 20s, which he will continue to do in 30s if we still have financial products or whatever. But he's putting his dreams through the money. He's going to fulfill a lot of goals through that money, and that is something that has never gone away.
That is true. Financial products are a class in themselves, They cannot be compared to any standard product. Say you buy a car or a house or a refrigerator, you know from the day you buy, the depreciation would start. It would start depreciating. But on the
Correct.
contrary, when you invest in the financial product, it is all about appreciation.
Yes.
You see, because your hopes, your dreams, your aspirations are attached to them. So now the question is, as a customer, what should I be looking for when someone comes to me? What is what tips would you like to give me that I you should look for this, 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 or tell the person go and call your senior or someone who's knowledgeable.
So I think from the perspective that if a customer walked in, what is the kind of offering that I would like to give to the customer is, We might have a huge database of customers and all, but when the customer has walked in, or when he has written an email to you, or when he has spoken to you, or when he's asking for a mortgage, or when you are he's buying a car, any of it, be it an EMI, be it an SIP, be it a mortgage, or he's taking a loan, though you use the word appreciation, appreciate the customer at that point of time. All that customer is looking for is that you make him an exclusive customer, as though he's the only customer which he is, which you have. So you might, it's a very good boardroom presentation to say that, we've got this much customer database. Wow, that's your hard work there. However, when you're speaking to the customer, to the client, just treat him as though he's the only one. If you do not have the information, and you cannot have all the information, because you can be ready with the list of the first 10 questions, but you don't know what is the 11th or the 15th question, be good enough to say that, let me find it out for you. Do not pass the buck, own up to it completely. These are very simple things which we kind of, as we progress into our corporate career, corporate ladder, we start forgetting, or we start missing it somewhere here or there. But just continue to take those basic things right. Do your homework completely. Do not overcommit to the customer. A very simple thing, a lot of example. One example which I always say is, "Sir, lift mein hu bas." So my joke used to be, ki, whose lift? The client's, or the office lift, or your house lift? Where are you? So that's something that you need to.
Uh,
It's a very small thing, but an omission or not saying the whole truth, it does not hold good in the long run. You need to be transparent. Even if it is a bad news, but give it in a way that the customer knows that I know this person comes from a space of trust, and I can look at this employee as though he's a part of my family, something like that.
that's brilliant, but the undercurrent of the financial sector is all logic, data, growth, numbers, right? And you speak to a lot of financial people, they believe that values has got no place in the financial jungle. But you are coming from the space of customer services. And customer services has got no place for numbers today because we have moved away from four P's to four E's, which I call emotions, exclusiveness, experience, and engagement. So, as a service delivery person, how did you create a bridge between the two so that the guys who were just sitting, who were sitting in the boardroom and just dealing with numbers or just evaluating on the basis of the numbers, how did you create that bridge?
Uh, I think I've been very fortunate to have worked in a wonderful organization. And if I'm sitting here
Uh,
and talking,
Mira, I'll need to excuse myself. Please carry on. I'm alone in the house. The doorbell has rang. I'll just go and open it and come back. Please carry on. Right?
all right,
Yeah.
I will. So as I was saying that we were given a lot of freedom to work the way we could work, because we were doing the right thing, and we were all talking the same language across all the designations that we were holding. The whole of hierarchy would talk about the customer being first, and that's something which I learned at all times, that the customer will always be first. What is important in all of this is to know that the customer is coming across to you for an investment, or he's asking to buy that house or upgrade his car. If you were to think of yourself as a person who was actually helping the person fulfill his dreams, I think that would be wonderful. Because if the guy was taking a car, and if you looked at it from a perspective that the number of long drives the family is going to have, and the beautiful memories that he will create, or if the guy bought his first house, and I'll hold on for you, Sandeep.
Yeah,
So I was saying, Sandeep, that if we were to look at ourselves, as a person who was helping people fulfill their dreams. So if somebody was to mortgage a house, they're buying a house, you don't know the space that they're coming from. It must be their father's wish that they must be fulfilling, or their mother's wish that they must be fulfilling, or the goals that they might be doing in their financial planning of education goal, retirement planning, and all. You know, so many of the dreams that are getting fulfilled. And as I was mentioning earlier, that we should take ourselves as dream merchants and actually do it as though you're making people realize the dream. And if you were part of that dream, imagine how you would look at the customer, not as a person who's a number, but somebody whom you are really supporting while doing your job.
brilliant. What is coming out to me that there's only one factor, and the factor is trust, right?
Yes, yes,
And if you can build the necessary trust, the customer will have trust in you. Now,
yes,
the question is a lot of us believe that we are trustworthy, but that's our self perception. But are we really trustworthy? That's a big question mark. So, okay, now let's not get into this question mark.
yes.
And Mira, what would you suggest? How can a person build trust?
Uh, the one thing that I understand when you are talking about building trust is, A, you will make a mistake, own up to it. When we were kids, we were taught at a very young age, and I'm sure almost all the families give the same similar value system, that if you make a mistake, it's better that you own it up rather than we find it out from someone else. And I remember my parents telling me that you will get more hurt if you we found it out through someone else rather than you admitting to it. And I think all of us would have grown up with similar value system. And I realized that, and that's the kind of the only way you can build trust is that you would be there and own up to your mistake, and as a supervisor, learn to forgive. Do not hold it against the person, because the employee is taking a lot of courage to come and say that he made a mistake. And if he got a lot of support from his supervisor, I think his confidence will grow, and he will not be scared to do his job. B, he will know that his boss he has a he has his boss's back, and that will allow him to perform better at his job. And that's where he can build trust with his clients. I think that's one way forward, which immediately comes to my mind.
Brilliant, you see. And just to supplement what you said, Meera, I always tell my clients and ask them a simple question: if you have 100 rupees in your pocket, can you give me 101? They say no. So I say, okay, then this means that you can give me only what you have.
Absolutely.
So the starting point becomes that the person needs to trust himself or herself. A lot of us, what I've seen, we don't trust ourselves, we doubt ourselves. And when we doubt ourselves, that uncertainty, that tentativeness comes in our behavior.
Yes.
And when that comes, and that's a sort of a feeling, or an expression, and that particular emotion, and emotions are contagious.
Absolutely.
So when I come across tentatively, or I come across with uncertainty, the same feelings get transmitted to the other person.
Yes.
So therefore, my thing is, I would say that the starting point would be start trusting yourself.
Yes.
Then dive deep into yourself, analyze what is stopping you from trusting yourself.
Yes.
You see, so unless and until you hit the root cause, external or superficial remedy or therapy or help will not create sustainable results. And folks, what we are talking about is not confined to the financial product services. It applies to every dimension of your life. You take relationships with your wife, with your partners, girlfriends, boyfriends, children. It is trust. You go to your office, it is trust.
If I may add on this, Sandeep, a very small thing when we talk about trust is very, uh, in a very light-hearted manner at times when we are, if I'm getting late, I used to get late at the office. And I would get a call from home, and I would be like, "Yeah, I am starting out in 10 minutes. It'll take me whatever time it will take me in the traffic to reach home." I did not give excuses for the reason why I was late.
Hmm.
I did not falsify anything. I would simply say, "Yes, I'm starting late from office today." And a colleague of mine noticed it, and he said that, that's a very transparent way of working. And my family then would always tell me the things the way it was. They did not sugarcoat it for me. It might be better at times, but yes, it was still transparent and trust was always there. Anything and everything, but the denominator will always remain as trust.
Brilliant, you see, and trust is such a powerful thing when it comes to relationships. Like, have I talked to you regarding the four S's of relationship? Being seen, being soothed, being safe, and security. You
Yes,
see, because if you want to take forward, nurture any relationship, right? You got to trust yourself, you got to trust the other person and see the other person as he or she is.
and
If you,
accept.
and obviously, the number
Yes,
two, the next is that if you want to take the relationship forward, when the other person, you should trust yourself and trust the other person that what he or she is saying is correct. And in case the other person is under distress, you should be in a position to soothe the other person.
yes,
Number three, safe. When the other person should have so much trust in you that when the other person wants to come and share something from his or her heart, with a sense that I will not be judged. That is the kind of trust you got to impose in the other person. And
absolutely.
lastly, the other person should trust you and you should trust yourself that you will not cause physical harm to the other person or allow physical harm to be caused to the other person. And personally, I believe, Meera, these four factors, probably not in such a way the way I have described, but yes, they're very much prevalent in any relationship, be it a relationship of a marketing person and a customer, be it a relationship between the boss and the subordinate, be it a relationship between a guru and a shishya, the guru and the disciple. So, trust, yes, I totally agree with you, is the foundation of, let us say, the 21st century. Because, and why do I say this thing? Because, you see, the last century was all about machines, where SOPs were there. The last century was all about not thinking, just doing your job. You were educated and trained for that. But this century is all about people, knowledge. Now, the knowledge which Meera has, it's up to her sweet wish to put it on a piece of paper, yes or no. It is
Yes,
inside her. So I need to trust Meera. You see, if I want Meera to perform well, so personally, I believe that trust is the pivot on which Growth in the 21st century, in business, in profession, in personal life, in social life, everything is happening.
I agree with you. And but coming in the corporate career, I think the trust also come when you talk about trusting yourself. It's one thing that is definitely there is do your homework well in whatever you're
Mhm.
doing. Because the minute you do, I remember I would always get this comment from my boss: "Dirty your hands, dirty your hands."
Mm.
So when you dirty your hands and when you do the basics, and that's when you realize, and when you do your homework well, and that's when you go ahead and go, you are able to trust yourself because you can be sufficiently prepared to do anything then. You will never be prepared, fully prepared. Don't aim for it. You will delay the whole thing, but be sufficiently prepared, as I would say.
Well, yeah, what you are saying is absolutely right. I was reading a nice article on empathy the other day, and I really liked it. It said people say, I can feel what you are feeling. The truth is, you cannot feel. I can imagine what you are feeling. So, similarly, I am totally prepared. Fine, great, you're totally prepared, but basically, you're imagining that you're totally prepared, and life has got a number of bouncers and googlies, and you never are sure from which side they would come. Like in one of my articles I had written, and this is a life incident. I was in a meeting where Dhoni, the Indian cricket captain, was there. So he said, we can have as many strategies, we can frame as many plans in the team meeting sitting in the hotel room. But the truth is, the moment we are on the field and the first ball is bowled, all strategies go for a six.
Yeah.
All it depends is how fast can you think on your feet and take considered decisions.
Yes.
And now coming to the trust factor, I would like to add one thing more. 90% of us, we tend to react, not respond.
Yes.
And the reactions mirror, this is the way I look at it, are based on our previous experiences, our limited knowledge in the environment we have grown up. So, and they pertain to a particular situation which happened when it happened. So now
Correct.
the question is a logical question. Is that situation identical? Are the variables of that situation the same of the situation today? Probably no. 99% no. So when you react, you land up playing on a slot machine, which is programmed to make you lose. So when it comes to building trust, don't you think the people who go out selling the financial product services, they should develop the ability to respond rather than react?
I think I like to answer it in two parts, Sandeep. A, the word reaction in itself means reaction. So
Hmm.
the customer has given you an action, he's given away, he's expressed something, and if you choose to respond, react in the same manner, then you are just reenacting the whole thing. So it's a reaction, right? Whereas if you would just step back a bit, the customer at some point of time might have had some bad experiences, and he could be coming us from a space of non-trust. However, if you knew your fundamentals clearly and you were sure about your homework, your preparedness, and all of it, you would tell the customer that, hold on, I'm here to assist you, and then respond to the customer. So I think you gave a brilliant example, and I have done. I have had enough and more people walking into our offices, and where they would be very upset or anything. However, when they've gone out, you have seen the Colgate smile on their faces when they would go out, and a lot of people would shower a lot of blessings on us because they came from a place of non-trust. But when we, did help them out and did everything right, they went away with a lot of happiness. And I think somewhere we also contributed, maybe minutely, but we did contribute to the revenue somewhere, because we got a retained customer again on this.
Well, I'll say the product services team, contributes directly to the revenue. It's rather unfortunate that it is taken more as an expense center rather than a revenue center, because the repeat customers, right, are the gift of the product servicing team. Because in today's time, when the options are very many, and competitive options, not only very many competitive options, if that
Yes.
relationship, engagement, emotional, and exclusiveness are absent, usually people tend to change their service providers, right? Or the financial products company,
Absolutely.
invest
Absolutely.
somewhere else. So repeat business is a gift of the services, customer services team. This is the way I look at it.
I definitely look at it the same way. I've having worked like that, and it used to be a delight when you used to see some faces repeatedly into the office, or you could recognize the person's voice even after many years if they called, and they would be delighted if you just say, "Okay, Mr. Gupta, how are you doing today?" And they would be like, "Are, aapko yaad tha?" And we are like, "We
Hmm.
recognize the voice." That's the moment of delight that you create for the customer. And uh, yes, I absolutely agree that we were known as the cost centers, but it would have been we did contribute, uh, as I was saying, minutely to the retained customership at least.
Brilliant, Meera. So, what are the last tips you would like to give to our listeners today? Usually, I hold this session for 30 to 35 minutes, right? So, the last tips and how can the customers or the listeners reach you?
All right. So, I'll leave with the last tip is we talked about this session as compassion. So, I'm saying that take the M out of the word compassion, take the money factor out of it, and it leaves you with co and passion. Become the co passenger of the customer in living his passion. That is a holiday abroad or fulfilling the retirement needs, but become a co passenger in his passion, and that's where you will have everything of a great customer service experience, and you will have a retained customer. And yes, I can be reached on my cell phone at now India number 987-127-8630. Otherwise, at my email ID, meera@parhita.com.
Brilliant. Thank you, Meera. We have had a very good discussion. And folks, you can reach me on through my LinkedIn page. My contact details are very much there. Looking forward to see you again coming Thursday. That's day after tomorrow, when I'll be teaming up with Cecilia Kindlin on the topic how to interview icons and learn from them. So thank you very much. Good night. Well, good night because I am in India. It's night time now. So for the people abroad, well, whatever time of the day it is, good morning, good afternoon, have a nice day, nice afternoon, evening. Thank you very much.
Good day.